Music and motivation. Unlocking Brilliance with Brianna Ruelas. Join us for an inspiring interview with Brianna as she shares how combining music and motivation can unlock your brilliance and help you cultivate creativity. Brianna's unique approach awakens confidence and encourages you to take action so you can increase your impact on the world around you. Don't miss out on this powerful conversation filled with practical tips and valuable insights. Let's unlock our brilliance together. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, and you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Hey, welcome back. And I want to introduce our amazing guest we have here today. Brianna Ruelas combines music and motivation to unlock brilliance and inspires others to cultivate creativity, awaken confidence, and put their gifts into action to increase their impact on the world around them. She has spoken on U.S. stages from east to west, performed internationally, is a #1 best-selling author, and inspires countless viewers as a top 100 finalist on American Idol Season 4. Brianna is also the founder and CEO of a strategy consulting company, the Ruelas Music Group, that brings innovation and creativity into the workplace to enhance company culture, morale, confidence, and motivation. Please help me welcome Brianna.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the Wellness Driven Life Show. It's an honor to have you here today. Let's start by sharing yourself with the audience. Let everybody know a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. Thanks again. That was a beautiful intro. I'm so excited to be on the show today. So I don't really need to tell you my name again because it's here on the screen and you just introduced me. But hi, I'm Brianna, and I am actually a mother of 3 girls. I'm a multi-passionate, multifaceted entrepreneur, creative, and let's see, just female professional, right? Um, I believe that at the heart of what we truly want in life, both personally and professionally, is to create something meaningful and contribute something of value to the world around us. So everything that I do is really aligned with that, and also encouraging others that it's never too late. Right. It's never too late to kind of tap into that thing that's theirs so that they can make an impact on either their community, their families, the world around them, whatever that little circle is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really how we feel good about living, right? I mean, it makes sense to live that way because that's what feels good and that's what's enjoyable, is to really be living in your passion and creativity and showing up that way. And I love how you said that that can start at any time. I really am a big proponent of that, and letting people know that tomorrow is another day. You can always change. Identity is a really big word and term, right? So many people identify themselves as something. And then when that world gets broken and shaken, and all of a sudden they're questioning that, having that understanding and awareness of, guess what? I can change that. And it doesn't change the internal core systematic values that we have, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I would agree when things get shaken up, we are still who we are at our core, as you said, right? We
Yeah.
are still the same person. We're just operating maybe with a new reality. But at our core, we are designed, and you know we are designed a specific way. Like, we have this beautiful fabric inside of us, whether whether you consider yourself a creative or not. There's something when we tap into creativity, and I think creativity is very vast. I don't think that creativity is simply being a singer like
Yeah.
myself, or being a painter, or I think there's so many ways to tap into um like the life force that is all around us, which I really feel is a huge part of creativity, even if it's just gardening in your front yard.
Yeah.
And those are the things I think that help us to tap into our, our soul, like who are at the root of who we are.
Yes, and I really like that you bring that up. I mentioned your beautiful picture behind you. When we start talking creativity, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that physical, but you're right. It doesn't mean that it has to be shown through, music or art. There's so many different ways to really be expressing yourself creatively, whether that's the written word, whether that's through expression, like, you know, even with my facial expressions, right? I mean, creative. So, there are a lot of different ways, and you certainly you bring that to light with the people that you work with. Can you tell us a few different ways that you do that?
Absolutely. So, most recently, what I'm doing is I'm taking music and motivation to corporations through what we call keynote concerts. And ultimately, what that is, it's a keynote talk that incorporates original music. So I've been songwriting for years, but I'm taking original music along with my message, which the core of the message is confidence and motivation, but also the importance of sharing our gifts, that none of our gifts go to waste, none of our story goes to waste. And oftentimes, when people are like in their mode of working, so to speak, either in the workplace or in their business as an entrepreneur, we tend to either compartmentalize our gifts and say, oh, I can use this gift over here and this over there, but we never combine them and bring them together collectively. And I believe that we're supposed to bring all of our collective experience, gifts, natural strengths, all of it, that we're supposed to bring them all together collectively and use them. And that's really what the basis of the talk is. And the unique sort of innovative approach and creative approach is the music, because so many keynotes nowadays are just focused on, the big screen behind them and the PowerPoints and the clickers. And, an
Yeah.
hour later, people are like falling asleep.
Right. They're just staring at a person, and it's more of
No
that thing.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I think when we start, integrating our brains to start firing and wiring in different aspects, because you're bringing them that different culture, and that, music is so powerful, and that's exactly what it does. And it evokes emotion. And so when we start doing that, we learn better. Like, it starts to stick, right? And so that's really cool. Clint Pulver also does that with his drumming. And so I love running into people who really activate that, and they give you an experience. Some of my favorite speakers, same thing. They're, if they're not playing an instrument or music, they're doing something to engage an audience. They're having them stand up and move their bodies and say something out loud, and it really has a different effect. And you don't forget it. It's a memorable thing. And so kudos for you. You know what? I'm going to jump right into some of our photos. Is that okay?
Of course, yes.
Because I think that some of this really goes into what we're discussing.
Yes. So, you want me to tell you about this photo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, this is cool because when I quit my 9 to 5 job years ago, not, I mean, let's see, I guess 9 years ago, 10 years ago at this point, I thought I was going to be a vocal coach and be at home with my 3 girls. And really, that was about it. About 6 months into quitting my 9 to 5, I got a position at a music school and I started vocal coaching. And I realized that I felt like vocal coaching was almost like um, being a shrink to these kids. Like, And I started realizing like, wow, there's all this advice and information I'm giving them. So
Mm, mm,
I wrote a book and I published my first book. And my first book started really opened the doors to me speaking at music conferences. So this was actually my first music conference. And the book was called Performing Artist Pathway, which you can see I'm holding in this picture.
yep.
And, it's really about navigating the highs and lows of your music journey because so many artists, and I call it performing artist pathway. It's geared towards singers, but any artist, any performer can resonate with this because oftentimes as a performer, we really hinge our happiness and we hinge our success on these massive highs of performance and oh my gosh, I was on the stage and the feeling that the audience gave us and
Yeah.
that just that affirmation.
Yeah.
And then the next day, the performance is over and crash and burn like hard. And then there's this
Mm,
level of rejection that's present. And I talk about that very openly and honestly inside this book because it's so real. And at the time, a lot of people weren't talking about self-care. A lot of people weren't talking
yeah.
about um, what we go through as artists. And
Right.
so, that's really where this began. And it began my entrepreneurial journey, this book, as well as my coaching journey to help strategists, creatives, and artists inside their businesses.
So I want to come back to that because now you're getting me excited because you're talking about highs and lows, right? And whereas some people may not experience that because they're really living life on the easy lane, they don't want to expand themselves or even to experience those highs because they know they're going to have the lows, right? I think that all of us at some point in our lives have an experience like that. And then you either choose to avoid it or to continue on with it, or you walk into a profession where it just is. So, in my experience with law enforcement, we experienced highs and lows because that was the nature of the job. So you're responding lights and sirens, 120 miles an hour, you have these extreme highs where you're responding and then you handle the situation, diffuse, whatever, do what you need to do and then you're back down on the lows. There's no calls, you're sitting there for a couple hours, and it's like, what? Or you go home and life is just like very chill. There's no so a lot of people in those response fields, they will go to extremes. They'll do all of the things like skydiving just to experience, or they'll do it in not such a great way and they'll go to, substance. And that's where you don't want to be. But exactly what you're saying, Brianna, is how do we navigate that? Because that comes up. So when you're on the stage, you're experiencing this really euphoric moment and it's wonderful and the crowd is pleased and you're getting this energy that is just way out there. And then the next day it's like, oh, I'm not experiencing that anymore. So how do we navigate that, right? So what are some of the keys and tools that you have discovered? I know that you started naturally coaching and talking to people about this, but what were some of the tools that you used?
Yeah, so I think I we almost have to go backwards to the beginning because it's one of those things where prior to these performances, it's so important to establish your own sense of worth and confidence because
Yeah.
ultimately what happened the next day when I crashed and burned was I started getting up in my head and doubting, "Oh, I did this wrong. Oh, I didn't hit this note. Oh, I cracked here. Oh, did they
Picking it
really like
apart.
it? Oh yeah, did." And I start eating myself up.
Yeah.
And that's self-doubt, that's a lack of confidence, there's so many things wrapped in all of that junk. And
Mm,
so when we go backwards and we think about, well, wait, hold on, what's the truth here? Like
mhm.
that's crap. That's BS, really.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the truth. The truth is I put my heart on that stage. The truth is I am so beautiful and wonderful and loved. And I am secure in who I believe I am. And I also believe the truth. If we talk about the truth is
Mhm.
was meant to do that. I was supposed to be on that stage. I was supposed to touch those people. I was supposed to create that connection. And we have to always go back to the truth, because when we
Yeah.
start believing the lies and the junk that circles our head, and remind me, because I wrote a song about this, and I can share that with you guys. Then that perpetuates more junk. It
Yeah.
perpetuates kind of us diving ourselves into this like deep dark hole, and it's really hard we lose momentum because we
Yeah.
start believing all this junk. It's not fun. It's not fun. So as far as a tool would simply be like let's write down a list of the truth. Let's
Yeah.
remember the truths of who we are, our essence, and what we believe we are called or meant to do in life, how we are wired, what are we, our strengths, our weaknesses, our joys, like the things that are true, and anchor ourselves in that truth. Because when we don't, we rely on others to supply us with um with what they think about us.
Yeah.
But
And I love how you said you lose momentum, because that's exactly it, right? And that's when people stop doing those things, and like you said, lose momentum because they don't have that confidence, or they're circling back in their minds all of the things that could have been of the untruths.
mm, yeah. And it can be very painful, but we put ourselves there. When we don't
Yeah,
prepare,
absolutely.
yeah, when we don't prepare and take the time, like you mentioned, sometimes people are just riding high all the time because sometimes people don't want to take the time to dig deep. But
Mhm.
I encourage you to dig deep, because honestly, your life depends on it. Because at some point in your life, you will encounter hardship, you will encounter challenge, betrayal.
Of course.
Gosh, like, I mean,
All of it.
life,
It's the
life
human
is going to smack
experience.
you in the face at some point. And that doesn't mean, I would say, just because we know the truth doesn't always mean it's going to be easy. It's certainly not. But when we're anchored in it, I do believe it helps us find our way back. If it helps us find our way.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really good tool to write down the beautiful truths of yourself. I think that's very powerful. Big fan of sticky notes and
Yes.
carrying the note cards around with you, stick it in your purse, in your pocket, so you have it to remind you of the power within. And so also big advocate of people doing the things that scare them, or look at it in a different way, because that energy is also can be looked at as an exciting energy, and you just switch that thought and that perception.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm always thinking, I always tell people that we want to think possibility over limitation. So, like, if we're constantly thinking about the limitation or the challenge,
Mm,
then it keeps us stuck. It stifles momentum. But when we start thinking about possibility, well,
yeah,
what's possible? What's possible? What's possible? Then we open ourselves to new opportunities, new possibilities, right? New
yeah.
innovation, new creativity. Like, we open ourselves up to all of that.
To the unknown.
Yeah.
But you're right. It opens it up to new possibilities. But what I think is exciting about that is that it can be exciting. Is like, what if this was gonna happen? And what are the possibilities or chances of this happening? I wonder what else is gonna happen. I wonder what's next. So
Mm.
asking those questions are really powerful and key points. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to jump into our first commercial, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. I am Kim Jacobs, the host of The Kim Jacobs Show, and you all know who's right here with me, Dr. Les Brown. How are you, Dr. Brown?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a time you want to give yourself a competitive edge. If you got a message, you have some knowledge or experience, a story, or if you want to do something adventurous and exciting with your life that can increase your credibility, expose you to millions of people, I'm encouraging you to have your own talk show. I used to have a talk show. That one talk show catapulted me to another level. Now there are more people watching the internet, as you are aware, than television.
Yes.
Come on, somebody.
That's right.
Dr. Kim Jacobs, she trained people on how to have their own talk show. She will train you how to do that. And now, with me working, partnering with her, now you have the combination of an audience, expansive audience. We have over 4 million people in all of our platforms, and the coaching you need to grow your business, to grow your multi-level marketing organization, to draw more attention to yourself in this noisy economy. Go ahead, Kim.
So in the training that I do, Les, I actually do a 6-week training. It's 1 hour per week. And each week I meet with the individuals one-on-one. We go through and we talk about all of the things that's necessary for a show to become a reality. We go from how to actually identify your focus area, what's going to be your ideal customer that's going to be tuning in. We'll talk about how to get guests, how to get sponsorship, how to go about getting your lighting, your branding, and your banners, and everything that you need to know. And guess what, Les? They own their own content at the end of the day.
And that's exciting. Now, if you're ready to create a shift in your business and in your life and increase your cash flow, I want you to go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. It's right there on the screen, KimJacobsConsulting.com. You know, people say opportunity knocks on every door. Right. No, opportunity stands by silently waiting for you to recognize it. So I want you to recognize that this is a time for you. This is an incredible time to have your own talk show. It establishes a level of credibility.
Yes.
And by being exposed to people on a regular basis, it allows you to strategically begin to impact and attract your audience. She can take you in a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. So go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. That's KimJacobsConsulting.com. Did I say KimJacobsConsulting.com? Yes, you did. Very good. Make sure you go there and sign up for the coaching, and we're looking forward to working with you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and that's Kim's story, and we're sticking to it. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Great coaches. And I'll put this banner on because Kim Jacobs was my coach. She's amazing. So I'll let that stream along the line on the bottom for a little bit. And her coach is the famous Les Brown. So, and speaking of great coaches, Brianna, that's exactly what you're doing. You bring this unique experience to the corporate arena and probably to small groups as well. And for those who are blessed enough to be in your presence. So let's talk a little bit more about that. How did you get involved in this? You know, what inspired you? I know that you had that instance. I'll bring in the photo. Maybe let's jump in here. Let's start here because this was a really cool experience for you. Like not too many people get to have this. What was this like?
Yes. So I was a top 100 finalist on American Idol season 4, and that's the OG season of Randy, Paula, and Simon. And that was pretty wild. That year, 100,000 people lined up around arenas across the country to audition. And I actually auditioned in several different cities before getting the yes. So I got rejected several times within the same season. And I showed up in San Francisco at Cal Palace at the very last audition of the season. And that's when I got my golden ticket. So I was very tenacious and persistent, if you will.
How old were you?
I was 24.
I mean, that is resilience right there. You know, when you keep getting no, hard nose, no.
Yeah.
And having to still have the confidence to keep pushing forward, moving forward, to give it a go time and time again is incredible.
Well, and I'll back up for just a hair because prior to that, I had been living in LA. I went to college at Pepperdine. And after graduating college, I went through about a year of like partying, like drinking,
Mhm.
all sorts of fun for about a year. And I tell people that was the year that I was lost in La La Land. And I really lost sight of not only who I was at my core. We talk about who that person inside you, right? That person that
Mm.
never goes away. I really lost sight of her. And I also started doubting my gift, my ability to perform, my ability to sing, my gift as a singer-songwriter. And I didn't sing for years. This opportunity, American Idol, actually made me realize for the first time, like, oh, wow, I actually got something here. Like, okay, this is something that I can't lose sight of. And so I'm
Mm.
thankful for that opportunity because although once I got to Hollywood and royally destroyed or botched my opportunity to move forward, in the Hollywood rounds. I got through several Hollywood rounds, but then I royally messed it up. That was a devastating low. And we talk about hitting rock bottom again, like I
Mm.
said earlier. But I realized that that was actually a beginning and not an end because this journey
Mhm.
on American Idol has paved the way for me to do so many things in my life, in including writing 2 books, that were inspired by many of the experiences that I had on American Idol,
Yeah.
and, teaching, artists of all ages how to do business, and then also bringing, as I mentioned, this innovation and creativity in music to corporations, and bringing a really unique perspective
Yeah.
that is needed today.
Yeah, absolutely. And a key thing you've said with that is that as you look back at that experience, you've realized that even though you were at the lowest of the low, it gave you the opportunity to do what you've done now. And so you have utilized that as a good thing, going back and looking at our past. And it's easy to just let it get the best of us, right? To say and go over and over in our heads that that was a horrible experience, and thinking how bad it was and how awful it was. And it takes a different kind of growth to understand that because of that experience, I get to, and I'm here. And it opened this up for me.
Absolutely. And I could have allowed that experience to completely squash my confidence. And it did for a little while. I could have it could have gone out a lot further. It really could have.
Yeah.
But instead, was able to finally keep moving forward. And I think what I've learned is that, I believe there are about, well, there's more than just 3, but 3 things that I feel impede confidence is regret, shame, unrealized potential, which is what I kind of hung my hat on this idol experience. Like I had all this potential and I let
Mm,
myself down and I let everyone at home down because I didn't make it to the finals. And, I
right.
was like putting all of this emphasis around it. And then there's complacency and boredom or autopilot when we're sleepwalking through life. And lastly, like self doubt. And ultimately, those 3 things really get in the way of us feeling energized, confident, motivated to do awesome stuff in life. So it's important to recognize them for what they are and call them out so that we can move forward and ultimately not, like I said, hang our hat on them. Because once we start believing, kind of like allowing those things, allowing the regret and shame or the complacency or the self-doubt, we start allowing those things to take over, and it truly gets in the way of us having forward momentum.
Yeah. It does. Absolutely. It does for all of us. And it happens to all of us. And I think that we all, unless we've really had some exponential growth or we've experienced so many lows that we're just like, okay, I got this. I know what to do. I know how to react. I know how to respond. But there's that time period that we wallow in it. And I think that's part of the healing process. I think that we
Mm,
have to experience that and we
mm.
have to understand that and truly feel what that is before we can understand and feel what, you know, the beauty of it is and what we can, concentrate on now at those higher energy levels.
Oh, absolutely. It, and I think it's what you said was so important is taking the time to feel it.
Mm,
When we're grieving, when we're experiencing hurt, pain, betrayal, mourning, whatever it might be, oftentimes we start feeling like we're walking through molasses, right? But
yeah.
if you're ambitious or if you have like all of this, but if you're busy, you're like, no, I've got things to do. Like I don't have time to mourn or I don't have time to grieve or I don't have time to wallow. But that kind of stuff's going to bite you in the bottom down the road if you don't tend to the wounds, right? If
Right.
you've got, a wound on your wrist and you keep scratching it or you don't scratch it, well, a scar, but then you scratch it
Mhm.
one day on accident and then it starts bleeding everywhere again.
Yeah, there's
Um,
definitely a few ways to respond, right? You just stuff it in deep and you're like, I'm not dealing with this right now. And you just keep going, going, going. Uh, but truly, even though it's not being voiced or dealt with, on a healthy level, it's still there. And so it's still
yeah.
festering, just like you said. And that's where disease starts popping up, and that's when the body is saying that's enough, and it forces us to stop and to address it. So
Mm,
take your choice, right?
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I,
Yeah.
I always, for me personally, when I've gone through adversity or challenge, I've really found that I have to slow down and um, care for myself. I was recently in Sedona. I was sharing that with you earlier.
Yeah.
Had a wonderful girls' trip. And the connectivity that I had with my best friends from college, who I've known for now 25 years, was so beautiful and enabled me to
Mm,
reset and recharge. I have 3 girls. I have a business. My husband has his business. There's a lot of things going on. And
yeah.
my girls need me. I
Yeah.
need me. So
Yeah. I
it's
love
like
I need me.
yeah, I
That
need me. And
yeah.
I can't care for anyone else when
Yeah.
my we call it when my cup is not overflowing. Like I had this awesome conversation with a shaman years back, and she told me, she goes, Brianna, you can't just serve from the cup. You actually have to serve from the saucer. So you have to you have to not just fill your cup up, but you have to allow the cup to overflow. And then from the saucer, you can serve others. And so what happens when my cup is only half full? I mean, like I'm not even serving myself at that point. I'm not helping myself or anyone around me. And oftentimes we allow our cups to get really low.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you also mentioned, and this is off screen, but we talked a little bit about that connection piece. And so your experience, like you were saying, with Sedona, it was a girls' trip, but how powerful and needed and essential connection with others is during times of, where we're not at our best, where
Mm,
we're experiencing something that is throwing us totally off balance in life. And being able to have others around us to help lift and support us, and venture to say, in the midst of that, we really find who those people are during those times, the ones who will be there with us, who will hold us.
mm, absolutely. Yes. I had planned a girls' trip months ago. And in the midst of that planning, I had a disruption in my life that really knocked me down. And having that space already on my calendar for these
Yeah.
women that I love so much. They pour into me and I get to pour into them, and we get to just hug and cry and laugh and tell stories. Like that
Yeah.
connectivity piece, I think we often underestimate how valuable and powerful that is. We think when we are struggling that we can just bury ourselves in our little hole and, you know,
I like to do that.
yeah, I do too. And but enough's enough. Like you get to a
Yeah.
point where you're like, this is not healthy. This is not healthy. And we have to remember that others, they want to be there for us. They want to support
Yeah.
us. And I think there's a balance of, okay, I do need to unplug on social media, or I do need to stop scrolling, or whatever it is. Maybe I need to cut back on work, or maybe I just need to
Mhm.
rest. Like my body says, take a nap. I need to go take a nap.
Yeah.
But the connection piece with those that you love and those that love you is
Mhm.
so beautiful and powerful. And I think that we need to remember that we are designed to have community with others.
Yeah. So, homework, everybody, make sure that you're putting this in your calendar to have time with people,
Face to face, touch them.
face-to-face. And I love that you are planning trips. So, what I heard from that is because we had this trip planned, it came during the perfect time to be there for each other and to share our stories. And if I wouldn't have had that scheduled because I experienced a bad moment, like it's easy for me to want to curl up in a ball and not want to talk to the world. But I committed to this thing. So it was like, it was already planned, it was already done. So it forced you into that, where you could accept and be open to having others be there for you. And that's a really cool thing. I love that. I think that's never thought about that so much, where it makes sense to maybe make some plans with friends and go out and do things and commit to them, regardless of the things that are happening.
And not to mention, life is short.
Life
Like,
is short.
I mean, like that's such a cliche, but man, it's so true. And we have to take the time to connect with those we love, because life is precious and short.
It is. And Brianna, I brought in your incredibly beautiful family. I don't know how you did that. Look, everybody's gorgeous. Jeez. And so, talking about like the model family, you guys are beautiful and you look stunning. So you are a mother of 3 gorgeous daughters and you have a great husband. And you're right. You've talked a little bit about balancing that. And what an example you are to be able to follow your dreams, be able to live in creativity in order to, be open to other experiences and possibilities while, being there for your family, showing up for yourself and showing up for them. How do you do it?
Thank you. Gosh. Well, first of all, this picture was taken at my nephew's wedding to my new niece, who they're gorgeous, like beautiful couple. And I'm so happy we got this, because actually that is the first time that I've ever seen my husband in a tux. He didn't even wear a tux at our own wedding. We
Oh
got
my
married.
gosh.
We got married barefoot on the beach. So
Nice.
this was my first time to see my husband in a tux. He looked very dapper. And
Yeah.
yes, I love my 3 girls. My family's very, very important to me. I always thought I was going to be a boy mom, and I am so grateful that I get to be a part of raising these 3 beautiful girls to be
Mhm.
strong and just kind and compassionate, to carry that through, to carry that on. I definitely have to create boundaries between my work and my creative passions and my family, because at the end of the day, my family is my priority. But one thing that I wanted so bad was to be able to work from wherever. I wanted to be location independent, and we love to road trip. This summer, we already have 2 massive road trips on the books, and I want to be able to take my computer wherever we go and be able
Yeah.
to work. And I'm able to do that now. And that's something that I've created. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity. And I really would just I love to encourage women and mothers, particularly, to remember that just because you're a mother doesn't mean you can't pursue your passions. So many moms,
Mhm.
and I believed this for so long. I believed that because I was a mom, it would be selfish for me to pursue music, to pursue those passions and those dreams that were given to me. And I believed that for years. And after I had my first daughter, my oldest, I didn't sing for several years. And thankfully, as a result of my husband telling me, Brianna, if you don't start singing, performing, writing, doing something with music, like immediately, you're not only going to make yourself crazy, but you're going to make me crazy. And that was the light bulb for me. And
Yeah.
that was at a point in my life where I really needed to hear that. I really needed to hear
Mhm.
that. And it changed everything for me. It set me on a trajectory to keep music in my life in some form or fashion. And I'm still bringing it in creative ways. Music, I'm still creating or putting it in my life in creative ways today.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad that you shared that. And there's so many things that I can relate to with being a mother of 3 daughters myself. And it's funny you said, "Oh, I always thought of myself as wanting to be a mother of boys." And here we are getting 3 girls. I share that with you. But I always said that my girls will always have each other, and they have this unique, incredible bond with each other. I mean, it's so deep. So I always felt if anything happened to me, and especially when I was in law enforcement, and having an autoimmune disease, I'm like, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Hmm.
So it was very comforting to me as a mother that regardless of what happened, they would always have each other. And so very cool that we share that. I love it. And I really like that you went into motherhood in general and how we give and we give and we right and we do all of that for our children, and we take away what we love and the creative side of us in order to do so, in order to provide. I don't know, maybe you had a little more leeway with that, but I was a single mom, so I really did that. And so I was working constantly and just trying to show up the best way that I could to be an example for them. But at the same time, where's the balance of actually doing something that was for me or something that I loved? And where's that creative aspect when you're just grinding? And so I really like that you put that in there because it is important when we start doing that for ourselves. I mean, life is not very fun. We had a comment that came in, so I want to bring it in. And Hilary says the trips are one way to recharge and then show up charged for the people who need us
Hmm.
daily. That's a cool way to put that, Hilary. Thank you. Is there anything you do specifically during these recharge trips that has helped you tremendously? Great question.
So, as I mentioned, I love road tripping. And let's see, for the Sedona trip, we did do massage. And I would say, as I was getting a
Mm,
massage, it, I personally like to slow down. I start my day. Um, I don't start it, but I incorporate in my morning success habits, my morning success rituals, meditation. And that could just mean sitting and being quiet for 5 minutes and
mm.
just clearing out my head and breathing. But through this massage that I set up for myself in Sedona, which PS, massages are not cheap. So this is I would like to position this as an investment in you, right? An
I think
investment in
that
your health.
Hillary knows about massages. So
But in this massage, I was able to sort of breathe and have that kind of meditation time. And I could hear very, very clearly that there were certain things, like, for example, like I tend to hear messages. Okay. So I
Yeah.
heard finish what you started. I heard,
Oh,
it like it's okay. Like you can now finish what you started. Because of, the disruption, so to speak, that happened a few months ago. And I lost my father, just to put out there.
I'm so
I
sorry.
Thank you. I was really struggling to finish something. Like I'm in the midst of expanding my business, my brand,
Mm,
and I just wasn't ready to move forward with it. And as I was laying on this meditational, in this meditational state and this beautiful massage, it was so clear, like, it's okay. It's time. Like, it's time now. Like, I took the time to grieve and I took the time to rest. And now I'm on this trip where I'm taking the time to care for myself and heal. But now it's time to finish what you started. And so I think
yeah.
to answer, your question, what do I do deliberately to help me? Anytime I go on a road trip, anytime that I set aside, I like to go to New Mexico a lot, specifically Las Cruces. I take time to journal and meditate because I always receive whispers
Mm.
that provide clarity and comfort and peace and enable me to move forward.
Yeah. And when we quiet down, when you're talking about meditation, massage, whatever it is, to where we're still, it does allow those, whether it's higher self, source, God, whatever you want to call it, but those messages have an in. They
Mm,
have that moment to be able to speak, and you're there to receive,
that's
right?
right.
And I think that what's interesting when you bring that up, and I don't know about you, I'd be very curious, and for the audience too, but it seems to me lately more and more messages are starting to come through in so many different ways, subtly, whether it's through animals or just things happening, or that sixth sense, so to speak. To me, it feels that more are coming through more often, and I hear about it more often. Maybe that's just a me thing. It's kind of
Oh,
like
interesting.
now, I want a blue car, so that's all I see. So that's always possible, but they do come, and I feel that when they come, listen, and whatever it means to you in that moment, whatever you think the meaning of it is, that's probably what it is, and to listen to that.
Sure. And, there's also that idea of like, we need to believe that that's there for us,
Yeah,
that there is divine wisdom, that there is, um, that's available to us. Right. So, and when it comes to not doubt it, like, yes, you heard that correctly.
right.
If I told you how many times that I wrote down something specific, a specific whisper I heard in my journal over a 6-month span, over and over, I write it down. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to pay attention to that. Like knocking me on the head over and
Yeah,
over. And I wasn't paying attention. I was writing it down, but
yeah,
just moving on to the next day. And over a six
mhm.
month span, if I revisit my journal and I see what I wrote down, I'm like, whoa. Because that's not
Yeah,
from me. I really don't believe it's from me.
yeah.
Most of my creative ideas are not from me. I mean, I'm a pretty awesome person, but like I do not take credit for all that.
Well, I think that what's neat about that is it almost is a relief, and it gives you permission to move forward with whatever it is. Like you heard, what was it that you said that you heard? Now I can't recall, but that
Finish
you
what you
could
started.
finish what you started, and it's just like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
now's the right time for that. And
Mhm.
it's a relief and a permission too. So cool. And I love that you jot down the mind dumps and all of that, and how, I relate to that, because when I go back through some of my other videos, or I was just watching last night an interview that I did prior to me beginning this show, and it was mind blowing to me, because I was speaking all of these things into existence, and they're here, and they
Mhm.
happen. And I was so confident when saying it. And what's weird about it is they haven't come to fruition yet. And I'm like, holy cow, how did I know? Why was I saying those things? Like, weird.
Mhm.
And it's just really cool how things like that just show up.
I love that. And I believe that so much. I think that when we are given a idea or a vision or a creative inspiration,
Mm,
it's a gift that we've been given and we're supposed to act on it. I believe we're supposed to share our gifts with
yeah.
others. I don't believe that they're meant to be hoarded. I believe they're meant to be shared. And they're really not about us at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And purpose, right? So I wanted to add another photo you have here. Can you tell me about this? This looks like you're maybe being interviewed about the book that you created that really transitioned and pushed you into this
It
new
did.
direction in life.
Yes. So this was my first TV on air opportunity with Good Morning Texas when I published Performing Artist Pathway, and this was very exciting for me. I grew up in a suburb of Dallas called Richardson. It's actually where I live now. I was in LA for 10 years before moving back here and um, getting a house and settling down here, which I'm so grateful that I'm in Texas. Um, I I loved this experience. I was a little nervous, but I had so much fun talking to Jane Gary, and yeah, it was a beautiful time to have this opportunity and share this book.
Yeah, I love that. And again, I love the meaning behind your book. I'll have to get a copy of that. I don't believe I have a copy of it
Yeah,
because
you can find both of
yeah.
my books on Amazon, and I'm definitely going to be writing some more that don't really have anything to do with music because again, I've gotten the itch again to start writing more, and I'm so excited about my upcoming projects. I think it's a timing thing at this point, but
Yeah.
yes, like that book really began it all. And that first book, it's
Mm,
almost one of those things where again, you get into your head as a creative and you're like, that book's not very good. It's not very
of
good.
course.
But that book has really helped so many people. And it's also very practical. It's a very practical guide as well.
Yeah.
So it's really been neat to hear from others on how that book impacted them.
Brianna, what I've found is, as we start to grow and expand ourselves, it's easy to go back, like you said, with the book. That wasn't that good. But yet you're finding that it truly is impacting other people because when we learn and grow and learn new things, we just, for whatever reason, assume that everybody else knows it.
That's
And
right.
that's not true because they haven't yet experienced what we've experienced. They haven't been there yet. So the new information that they're receiving is very impactful. And it's that aha moment for them where we're kind of like, oh yeah, and I learned that 2 years ago,
Yeah.
But and so as a coach or as take the word coach out of it, just a person who is on this path and wants to give back and wants to share, what has worked for them and the tools that have worked for them. Don't discount the little things, the things that you think are little, because it can be very impactful for others. And so I want to make sure that everybody does know where to find you, because also in the description of this video, many of you will be watching the replay. Brianna's information is in there, all of her social media links, a link to purchase that book via Amazon. And her website is www.briannaruelasmusic.com. That's Brianna, spelled the right way, Ruelasmusic. So, what is next? I am very excited because I saw the excitement in you. What is this next journey for you? Do tell if you can.
Yes, of course. Yes. So I am very excited about moving into this space of doing music and motivation for groups more and writing books that complement that. And
Mm,
really it's about the leadership, it's about the motivation, it's about the confidence, but most importantly, I feel very compelled to speak on like waking people up. I think so
yeah.
many of us are sleepwalking through life And we feel that we have to just keep on going through the motions,
Right.
and we're not excited about life. We don't feel alive. We feel stuck. We feel pressured and scared, especially with the state of the economy right now. And
Yeah,
I
there's a
think
lot of fear.
there's a lot of fear. Absolutely. And I just truly believe that we are designed to use our gifts and strengths and share them with others. And when we do that, it inspires confidence and inspires, like I said, when we talk about unlocking our brilliance,
Mm.
we do that by using and sharing our collective gifts and experiences, because all the things like the American Idol experience, right? I didn't think that that was even going to be relevant, but none of that went to waste, right? So I always say none of
Yeah,
our story goes to waste.
absolutely.
And I think that that's the thing I'm most excited about, is allowing, whether you're a female professional, whether whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a college student scared because you're about to enter the real world. At the end of the day, you can create a life that is exciting. You don't have to feel stuck. You don't have to feel complacent or bored. There's always ways to tap into that, spirit, to tap into that creativity, and truly live a life that you can be proud of, and also contribute something of value to the world around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you talked about how you can, you know, that the American Idol experience for you didn't go to waste. Because of that, it led to so many other things. Chatty Foster, who I interviewed last week, he really shares that openly and encourages that very strongly of, through his experience and sharing that with others, that if he didn't take the time to simply ask, and consider the what ifs and the possibilities, and to make that small little ask, right? Like if we take bosses for instance, or him, he's blind, and so he's a skier, he's a blind skier and a motivational speaker, and he's just so highly accomplished in so many things because of that, because he took that step and he asked and he did. And there's so much magic in that, and we can't express that strongly enough, that that's what it is and that's what it takes. You just got to do the things that scare you a little bit. I mean, you
Mhm.
pitching forward with that American Idol experience is really profound. That is such a bond in your life, a root, so to speak, where it gave you that root system to really push forward and experience an expansive amount of growth and branch into so many different things. Uh, would you like to share a song?
Oh, like a cappella?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes, sure. Um, okay. So I have a new song that I haven't released yet, but I incorporate it inside my music and motivation talks. And I'll just share a snippet for you. Um, let's see if I can remember the words. Okay. It doesn't matter where you've been, driving in the darkness on a road with no end. Life has a way of leading you, discovering a diamond as you see something new. You can step into more. It's where you're going. Nothing goes to waste. It's where you're going. There's a time and a place. Wake up and see the possibilities. It's calling you. It's where you're going. There you go. There's a little snippet. You got to hire me for the keynote to hear the whole song.
Oh, that was so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It is very apparent that you're truly embodying your passion, your joy. You just love doing it. And thank you again so much for sharing that. Thank you, Brianna, for being a guest on the Wellness Driven Life Show.
You are so well. Thank you for having me, April. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you.
Of course. Is there anything else you want to leave with the audience today?
I think the last thing I'll just say is if you are sleepwalking, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling unmotivated, just take the time to tap into who you are. Remember those truths of who you are, and remember that it's never too late to be inspired, to tap into those dreams and desires that have been placed on your heart, and to live out in the world, and be excited about bringing everything that you are to the world around you.
I love that. Never too late.
Never too
Never
late.
too late. Okay. Thank you so much, Brianna. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And when you're watching the replay, make sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. We do return them. And be sure to visit Brianna's website and see all of the incredible things that she is doing and offers. And until tomorrow, goodbye for now.